Hey there and welcome back. It's been a while. I wanted to make a short video to get us started this 2026, talk a little bit about the channel direction for the coming year, the topics that I want to talk about, what's been happening, what you can expect from the channel, and maybe if you're interested, stick around, subscribe if you haven't done so already. So let's talk a little bit about what I've been doing up to now on the channel, what I want to do next, why, and what you can expect. So in 2025, I started off the channel with videos that I thought viewers would want. It was a mix of topics that I was personally interested in and also thought could find an audience on YouTube. So that's really what I started off the channel with. A lot of things around productivity systems, building things that are genuinely interesting to me, but also I ended up leaving out some topics that maybe are also interesting to me. So that's kind of what I want to transition to in this year. So we're going to go from content I think viewers want to maybe a little more working on projects that are genuinely interesting to me. Not that the things I've been doing aren't interesting to me, just that I want to go deeper in that direction. And the reason for that is I really want this channel to be sustainable in the long run, to be able to produce content on a regular basis that is both interesting to you, interesting to me. So I put a lot of effort into it, and it's just like a really good channel. So the way to do that is to focus on things that I'm interested in and where they overlap with the audience that I have right now and the audience that I hope grows as the channel grows. So hopefully these are going to be topics that you will find interesting, but will also find a bunch of new viewers that will hopefully also subscribe to the channel and join us on this journey. So what are those topics going to be? Let's talk a little bit about the content. I kind of already did this at the beginning of last year. I started out the channel. The first couple of videos, I went over the topics I was interested in. I thought what I was going to cover. Some of those I really didn't get to. I only made about, I think it was just one video on ADHD, just one or two on language learning. And those are topics that are pretty interesting to me. And I just didn't really get a chance to explore those as much as I would like. What I did end up focusing a lot on was AI encoding, which is still going to be highly relevant to this channel. It's just that I want to bring in some more of these topics. So let me just open these up one by one. We can talk a little bit more about what I'm thinking about right now for the types of videos for the channel, at least in the short term. So for AI encoding, thinking about MCP servers, that was actually the last video I published last year. It was a project I set up on Vercel to connect to the WorkFlowy API so that I could access my WorkFlowy account from a bunch of different large language models. I played with that over the winter and it was very interesting. I built that out a little bit more. I ended up doing some more things, which we'll talk about towards the end of the video, but I just want to talk about that a little bit more in the next couple of videos. I'm still going to be focusing on more vibe coding projects. I find that just endlessly fascinating and interesting. There's just so many possibilities, so many things and tools and cool experiments we could do with code now that there are so many capable AI tools. I just want to continue to explore that further. And hopefully I'll be able to bring in some of these topics through that kind of side door of AI encoding and also just building tools with AI, just interesting, simple tools that maybe I can share with the community or put on a website or maybe publish as an app. So those are the kinds of things I'm thinking about for this topic. ADHD and life management. This is something, like I said, I only really touched on with, I think it was just one or two videos last year. And I'd really like to spend more time on that because I feel it is a thread that kind of runs through my entire life. And a lot of the different things, a lot of the topics and areas that I'm interested in orbit around ADHD in terms of managing ADHD, dealing with it, a lot of things I do, or even just having so many focuses that I kind of jump to from one moment to the next. It's all kind of tied back to the ADHD thing, and I don't talk about it at all. So I feel like it's time to start bringing that in a little bit. The types of videos that I'm thinking for that are things around tools, the systems, the habits, some meditation things, what I found works, what I found doesn't work for me, or maybe even just exploring some of these things together with you if you happen to have ADHD or not, and you just are interested in the life management aspect of it, then this is probably going to be interesting to you. As you can imagine, I've tried an endless amount of different tools and productivity systems, try to build habits, try to incorporate meditation, all in the service of helping me with the ADHD. And so I've got a lot to say about that, what's worked for me so far, what hasn't worked for me, and things that I would like to try and maybe turn into videos so you can see what actually happens. Next up is language learning. And I did touch on this with a couple of videos on some vibe coding projects around the podcast translator. I think I tried to do some sort of a spaced repetition application, and I've done a little bit more over the winter break. And I feel like I want to continue to explore this area because it is something that I do on a day-to-day basis. Again, not something I really talk about. It's just figuring out what do I think could be interesting to present on the channel that might also be useful to you, whether you're studying Japanese or if you're just studying languages in general. So I definitely want to do some more videos on that. One area that I completely neglected and I spoke about at the start of last year, again, kind of going back to the ADHD thing, I make a lot of plans and then a lot of them don't go anywhere, was the creative pursuits area. So things like practicing guitar, drawing and illustrating. I used to do that many years ago. I would do it for hours on end. I started using physical media, paper, colored pencils, markers, watercolors. At some point, I was even doing some acrylic painting, and then I just completely stopped. And that kind of happened as I was exiting college and starting my life as a quote unquote adult. And so some of those things that were really hobbies just didn't find their way into my schedule. So it's kind of sad. It's something I would really like to pick up again. I've tried to do that in the past. And so we'll see if I'm able to maybe build a habit of that again and show you some of the things that I like to draw and just talk about drawing in general. And also just documenting that learning process because it's been a while. It's been a couple of years since I've touched any sort of materials to draw or illustrate. The closest I get to that on a day-to-day basis is drawing interfaces and tools like Figma. That's about as close as I get. And it doesn't really compare to actually drawing something or illustrating something. The reason I put stretch goal here is because at this point, I'm not quite sure what those videos would be about. So this is the area where, even though I would really like to bring it in, and I'm going to try to do that, I'm really not quite sure what the content for the videos would actually be. So that's why it's a stretch goal. It's a little bit fuzzy, but I do want to at least get a couple of videos out around my creative pursuits and how I approach them, and maybe you'll learn a thing or two. Next up is virtual entertainment. This is just an area that is endlessly fascinating to me. The whole idea of having these virtual avatars, whether they are puppeteered by real people or whether they are completely AI driven, that are used for entertainment, for creating music, just this entire space around people taking on avatars and then using that to represent themselves, to create things and put them out into the world. This is really interesting to me. So again, another area where I would like to maybe explore, see if we could maybe build our own, or I'm not quite sure what the videos around that would be right now. Just things that I would like to bring into the channel at some point. And lastly, habits and systems. So this is kind of the thread that ties everything together. As I'm doing all this stuff in real life, I'm using different systems. I'm trying to build different habits, both just to get me to build those habits and also to manage the ADHD and to bring in some of those things into my life that give me joy, that feed that creative need. And sometimes it's hard. And so I employ habits and systems, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. So just more of those types of videos around what I've used, what I've found works for me, doesn't work for me, and then maybe also show you how I use these systems to incorporate these activities back into my day-to-day life so that I have something for the channel. So this is my plan for the start of the year. It could change as I go along and decide that actually I'm more interested in some of these than in others, and the channel will obviously reflect that in the content I create. And to wrap things up, I'd like to share what's coming up on the channel very shortly. So this video that you're watching right now, the channel direction video, the next one is one on a local MCP app that I played with over the winter break. I took the idea of the web-based one that I set up on Vercel with its own database and all that good stuff, and it worked pretty well. The problem with that is that even though the code is up on GitHub and you can follow the instructions, set it up yourself and run it, you're probably not going to do that. Most people aren't going to do that because it's not something that most people do. You need to be a little bit comfortable with messing with servers, have some idea about how they work, to be able to debug issues you run into. It's just a thing that people aren't really going to do. So I thought about doing the same project, but having it actually run locally on your computer, no web server. You don't need to pay anybody anything. It just runs on your computer. You can connect to the API that you want and then connect it to any large language model that you want. And so I did that and it worked pretty well. I learned a lot. It was just very interesting. And that's the video that is coming up next. Project already done. The code is already on GitHub. I'm just going to walk you through kind of the struggles and the issues, the decisions, and how it works. And also, if you want to set it up, it's literally just a desktop app and it's available for Mac, Windows, and Linux. You can just download it, set it up, and connect to it. So pretty cool. The next one after that, another project that I worked on while I was away from YouTube is an ADHD assistant bot. For whatever reason, the idea of putting together a Telegram bot or any kind of a chat bot planted seed over the winter break. And so I made a couple of them, not just one, but the main one that I started out with was one to help me set up reminders. So that's something that I think not just people with ADHD, but just everyone in general tends to struggle with: missing deadlines, knowing when you're supposed to be doing something, just kind of staying on track in general. So I thought about setting up some sort of an assistant on Telegram, because that was the easiest platform that I could find, that would essentially skip the whole creating of a mobile app. It's available on the mobile device. It's available on the desktop. It's automatically synced because it uses whatever chat platform you're using, and it's just running on a server, and you can chat to your AI agent. So that worked pretty well. And that's another video that's going to be coming up after the local MCP app one. And then after the ADHD bot, I also experimented with a language learning bot. I had less success than the ADHD bot, but it was still an interesting learning experience. It taught me about some of the limitations of the things you can do, the complexities of configuring a bot, and how the pieces work behind the scenes. On the surface, it seems very easy if you've used any of the AI tools, ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, what have you. It just feels very simple. You're just sending messages to the thing and it's able to answer or not. You can add files, and it just feels very smooth. When you actually try to put one together that does a very specific thing, you start to run into all the issues about managing context and memory and latency. And what happens if there's an error? How does it handle that? So it was definitely an interesting learning experience, and I hope to share some of those insights in case you ever decide to do that, or if you ever want to play with one of these bots. So those are the videos that are coming up next. And then after that, I'll be diving into some of these themes, pulling out from some of the areas that I really didn't touch on last year, but I'm really excited about making content on them starting this year. So that's the plan, and I hope you'll join me. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so you get notifications when the next videos are coming up. If there's a topic in particular you would like to see or you're tired of seeing, let me know by leaving a comment below. That feedback, both positive and negative, really helps me. The positive because it motivates me to continue to make videos on topics that maybe I'm a little anxious about, like, are people actually going to care about this? Am I just making videos for myself? Which at the end of the day is kind of the goal, right? If you're enjoying it, you should just be making content for yourself, and that will bring out the best of you, right? At least that's the idea. But I do also like to get a sense of what you guys are thinking. If there's something that's interesting to you that maybe I mentioned last year but is not here, or I've maybe talked about but is not here as well, be sure to let me know. So till then, I will see you in the next video.